Hi, third grade teachers. My name is Catherine, and today we are going to discuss Jamboard. So, my hope by the end of this video is that you'll learn different ways to incorporate Jamboard into your social studies lessons. You'll learn how Jamboard can be helpful in both synchronous and asynchronous instruction, and we'll explore some sample lessons that Jamboard can be used with. Let's get started. So, first, what is Jamboard? Jamboard is a digital whiteboard. Multiple students can access Jamboard. They can write or draw on it all at the same time. And this means you can either have multiple students on one device together or multiple students using different devices still accessing the very same digital whiteboard. Lastly, Jamboard is a Google app / extension. So it's something you can add on and use from any device, any computer, whatever you're working with. So why should you use Jamboard? How is it helpful? Well, for one, Jamboard can help facilitate collaboration between students in both synchronous and asynchronous learning tasks. Jamboard has less tools and less options than Google Slideshows, making it really user-friendly, task-focused, and ideal for students. I mean, we all know that when you have a lot going on, a lot of visual clutter, some of our learners can have a hard time focusing on the task at hand. And so that's one of the things that Jamboard does really nicely. It's kind of streamlined and really easy to use without too much going on. Jamboard allows for so many different instructional choices. It allows for gameplay. You can use Jamboard for interactive modeling. Jamboard is great for exploration of maps and other sources of visual information. It's great to have discussion and debate written or in other ways. You can annotate texts using Jamboard. It helps children organize their thinking and so much more. So how do you use Jamboard? Well, I'm going to show you by opening up a window, and I'll start a new Jamboard together with you so you can see. So I've gone on to google.com, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go up into the corner where there's this thing called the waffle, right? It's this 3x3 grid of dots. I'm going to click it and scroll down to my Jamboard extension here. Then all I have to do is press this plus sign in the bottom right corner, and I can create a new Jamboard. Here on the left side of Jamboard, you have all the tools. There's a pen tool, which has a few different options. There's an eraser tool, a mouse, a sticky note tool, a spot for you to add images, a place for you to create shapes like counters or other things, a text box button, and then one of my favorites, it's the pointer. And if you click and drag on the pointer, it'll kind of has a little bit of a lag so you can see what's happening. Then here at the top, there's a way that you can set the background to some different already made ones, or you can add your own image, and then you can have multiple frames. So you can have more, kind of like how on Google Slides, you can have more than one slide, you can have more than one frame on Jamboard. So now I'd like to show you some sample lessons from the Passport curriculum that would be really great for the inclusion of Jamboard. The first that we're going to look at is from Unit 1, and this is a lesson that's all about how geographers use tools to interpret maps. So this lesson asks students to color code a blank relief map. They're looking at some new terms and examining a physical map of the world, thinking about legends or keys, and then you get to this topographic map. Now, what I've done is I've recreated the topographic map on Jamboard. And so students are able to work together asynchronously or synchronously to move the arrows to highlight different elevation zones on the map. Great way to collaborate. Next, oops. Next, we have a lesson about Peru's independence. Now, the purpose of this lesson is for students to create a timeline of key events in Peru's history. And for this, children are asked to annotate the text and think about important ideas in each section. I thought this was a great option for using Jamboard, not only because children get to annotate text, but then there's another interactive piece where they're actually constructing the timeline of Peru's history. Here's what my Jamboard looks like. So I recreated the directions on the first frame as a checklist that children can check off. And then we have the text itself. Now, using the pen feature, children could highlight important parts of the text. They can circle keywords and ideas, and there's space at the bottom for them to add their answers and responses to the questions that guide them. At the end, after you go through all of the text, there's another checklist of the important dates to add onto the timeline. And then using the background feature, I've recreated the Peru timeline, and students could add either a sticky note of an important event in Peru's history and place it along the timeline. They could add a text box in a place where an event should go, or they can even write, again, using the pen tool. So I thought this was another great use of Jamboard for children to work together on a social studies task. Lastly, we are going to look at a lesson from Unit 3 on Nigeria, thinking about Nigeria's trade. And this one starts with children creating a word map. Then children think of some examples of trade and why trade is important to a country. Now, on Jamboard, again, children are able to access the device or the whiteboard together at the same time, annotate at the same time, and so they can work together to come up with synonyms and definitions for the word trade. Then, almost like you would have an anchor chart in the classroom where you're brainstorming ideas, children can add examples of trade here together. To sum it up, Jamboard can be an excellent tool for student-to-student discussion, access to and manipulation of visual information like we saw with the map, and can enhance student engagement in any social studies lesson. It's really simple and easy to use, and there are lots of additional applications that I haven't even gone over today, like games that you can play on Jamboard and even more. I hope you'll consider using Jamboard in your next Passport lesson, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.